Hi guys, my name is Shub and in this video we're going to be building this. How are you?
I am good, you little piece of shit.
Okay, that's kind of rude. How's the weather today?
Why do you care? You never even leave the house.
Okay guys, I think that's enough for the demo and we should head to the code. Okay, so as you can see here, we have three files, index.html, the second one is the style.css, and the third one is the app.js, okay? So in index.html, we only have three things, okay? So the first one is the button that we'll click on. The second one is the heading, okay, where we'll show our speech, what we speak to the browser, and the third one is the content that the browser will return to us when it synthesizes the text that we just spoke to it, okay. So the style.css is called all our styling part, okay. So I'm not going to be explaining this because it's fairly simple and I've only used flexbox to just center the items, okay. And the third thing that the file that we have here is the app.js, which will have all our JavaScript code that we are going to write, okay. So in this HTML file, we have given a class to this button, which is talk, and the two h3 we have here. So first one has a class of my speech, the second one has the class my content, okay. So I've linked both of these files, the app.js and the style.css to the HTML file. So here we have the style.css, here we have the app.js linked to it. Okay, so the one more thing that I'm using two extensions. Okay, so the first one is the live server. So, okay, so you do not need to refresh it again and again in the browser. So it just it works when you just save the you save a document and the browser automatically refreshes. And the second one I'm using is the prettier code formatter. Yeah, it's just basically it is used to make your code look pretty good. Okay, so as you can see, it is proper indented. Okay, so just using these two for this project. Okay, so what we're going to do here is that we are going to use the WebSpeech API. Okay, so there are two components of it. The first one is the speech recognition. Okay, so it provides the availability to recognize voice content from an audio input to respond appropriately. Okay, so I'll just write it down here. We'll be using the WebSpeech API. It has two parts. Sorry, it has two parts, the speech recognition, where we have it. Okay, here we have it. And the second one which we'll be using is the speech synthesis utterance. Okay, so we have it here. Okay, so it is just text to speech. As you can see, it is written that this web speech API interface represents a speech request. It contains the content the speech service should read and information about how to read it. Okay, so we're going to be using these three things, and there are a few of the properties and methods that we'll be using for both of these, and I'll explain it while coding. Okay, so first what we need to do here, we need to access all these three things here. Okay, because we want a button, we want this button to fire an event, okay, when we click on it. Okay, so and the second thing, as you can see, there is no text currently here. Okay, so let me just open this HTML file in the Chrome. Okay, so as you saw, I clicked on right clicked on it and I opened it with the live server. Okay, so it is now open. So here, this is what we have it. Okay, so it's not working right now. Okay, so I'll just show you how to get it working. Okay, so we'll just access the button and these two fields here. Okay, so what I'll do is that I'll just create a constant button. Okay, so it will document dot query selector, and you need to have a basic knowledge of JavaScript, okay, so that you can carry on with the project. Okay, it's fairly simple project. So if you have worked in JavaScript, so you'll know that how do you access the elements of the HTML page. Okay, so I'm using it the query selector to, as you can see, it returns the first element that is the descendant of node that matches selected. So if you can go through the JavaScript documentation to read more about it. Okay, so here we have the class talk for the button. So I'll just write talk. Okay, and I'll just copy paste it. Okay, so the second class that we have there, it was, I guess, let me check, my speech, and the other is content. Okay, so the second is my speech and the third one is that we have is content. Okay, So we have our three elements here. Okay, so first what we need to do is we need to initialize the speech recognition API. Okay, so I'll just create a constant here, speech recognition, and pardon me if I make any spelling mistakes. Okay, so we'll just call the global object window dot speech recognition. Okay, so it might be a possibility that the Chrome or any browser that you're using, this speech recognition might not be available for it to use. So what you can do here is that you can use another thing. Okay, so it is WebKit speech. Okay, it is not showing up here, but it is there. Okay, so you need to write speech recognition. Okay, so if it is available, it will use this, or it will use this. Okay, so one of them is going to available at least. This will always be available, or both might be available also. Okay, so now what I'll do is we'll just create another constant. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'll just copy paste it from here. So we need to initialize it. Okay, initialize this variable with it. Okay, so this is the variable that we'll be using now. Okay, so now what we have here is that this is speech recognition has two properties. The first one is the on start, and the second one is on result. So what on result does is that it represents an event handler actually that will run when the speech recognition service has started listening. Okay, so when the speech recognition service starts to listening to the audio, so this on start property, it will automatically fire. It is actually an event. Okay, so it will automatically fire. So I'll just show you here. Okay, so we write recognition dot, so you can see all these options here. Okay, so you can use it as per your need. Okay, so right now I'm using this on start. So we'll just create a function here. Okay, sorry, function. Yeah, okay. Hope I'm not making a spelling mistake. Okay, no, there's no spelling mistake. Okay, so we'll just console.log, and what I'll say here is voice is activated. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to first add an event listener to the button so that we can, when we click on the button, it will fire an event. Okay, and what that event will be, in that will be just initializing we just start the recognition service. So there is this method of this speech recognition start. What it does is that it starts the speech recognition service so that it listens to the incoming audio, okay, through any audio channel or the input that you currently have connected to your system. Okay, so we'll just say, okay, now, so now I'm using, sorry, so now I'm using the arrow function. It is the ES6, so you can read it on the JavaScript website anywhere. Okay, in the JavaScript documentation, or you can just use the function keyword as well. Okay, so now what we need to do here is that we need to first we'll set this. Okay, so I've given the same name to everything. Okay, so sorry, no, it was not content, I guess it was my text. Okay, yeah, because this is my content, this is the content. Okay, okay, so what I need to do here is that I'll just access the content, sorry, content dot text content, and I'll just say that it will be equal to an empty string. Okay, so the text content equal to this again. Okay, so because these both are the messages that we want to be displayed on the screen, so whenever so what I'm doing here is basically that when we click on the button, what we want is that the text that was previously there on the screen, it will just disappear. Okay, so I'll explain it to you in a moment. Okay, so next thing what we need to do here is just we need to start the service. Okay, so we'll just do it here. Okay, so now just let's test it out. Okay, so let me open the console for you. Okay, so let's test it out. Okay, so as you can see, it is written here voice activated, and also you've got this red dot here, which indicates that the browser is currently listening to what you're saying. Okay, I can refresh it again and I'll show you stock. So you can see this is blinking. So currently it is listening to it, and it is currently it is still listening to what we are saying. It is just that it does not have any access to show it whatever, because we did not print what it is listening to, but it is still listening to what we are saying. Okay, so the second service, that second property actually that I was talking about, is this recognition dot speech, sorry, on result. Yeah, okay, so what on result does is that it will when the SRS, sorry, no, speech recognition service, SRS in short, it returns a result. Okay, so it will have the result when of the speech recognition service. Okay, so I'll just make it more clear to you in a moment. Okay, so we create a function here. Okay, so what we have here is that it basically it has a event, it has an event. Okay, so we'll just console.log this event. Okay, so now the things will be more clear to you. Hello, how are you? Okay, so as you can see, we have got some response in this console.log. So if I expand it, so you can see here is all the information related to the audio that we just spoke. Okay, so if I just expand, go here, down here, it has this results, and in this results you can see there is one item currently 0. It is showing the length 1, so we only have one item here, and this you can see it has the transcript that we just set to the browser. So this is what we set to the browser. Hello, how are you? And if you see, this is in the transcript. Okay, it is this is the key. Okay, so we need to access this text now. Okay, so what we can do is, as you can see, that it is the in the results, and the index is this 0, and it is also it is equal to the result index actually. Okay, so what we can do is, we can first have this index. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create a variable const can say index. Okay, so it will be equal to the event dot result index. Okay, so it has the result index, so you can see it will have the 0. And now how we will access this is, we'll just say event dot results. Okay, results, and it will be at the index position that we just saw. And in the index, as you see, you can see it is in the now index, inside it 0, and inside the transcript, so it is an array inside an array. Okay, so we'll just say 0 and then dot transcript. Okay, so here we have our text that we spoke to the browser, so we can just display on the console. So let's test it out. Hello, how are you? Okay, so as you can see here, we have our text in the console. So we are pretty much halfway through the tutorial, and I'll just what we just need to do is, now we need to use the speech synthesis utterance API to convert this text to speech. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to add a few matching conditions on the basis of which actually the browser will return a message to us. Okay, so I have these messages here, constants that are created. Okay, so let me just put it here. Okay, so we have these messages. Let me uncomment this. Okay, I'll put a comma here. Let me uncomment this, and you do not need to pay any heed to these messages. They are just created randomly. Okay, so what we need to do now is that we need to pass this message, okay, to the speech synthesis API, so that it can read it out to us. Okay, so what I'll do is, I'll just store it into a const, and we'll call it transcript. Sorry, transcript. Okay, yeah, we have it. And okay, so now we have it, and we need to pass it to a function. So let's call it say it out loud. Okay, so this function is gonna have this transcript as a parameter. Okay, so now we just need to make this function, say it out loud, sorry, and to make a function. Okay, say it out loud. Okay, it's not showing any suggestions, don't know why. Okay, so now we have our function here. So what we need to do here is that first we need to receive this transcript parameter here. So I'll just call it message. Okay, so now what we need to do is first we need to initialize the speech synthesis API. Okay, so we'll just call it a speech because this is what is going to be read out to us. So let's call it a speech for easy understanding. So we'll just call it speech synthesis utterance. Okay, so this is what we need. Okay, so now we can, yeah, so one thing we can do is here we can have some default text. So because what if the whatever we say does not matches a few conditions, because what we are going to do ultimately is we're going to add some if else, the only some conditions. Okay, so I'll just create some default text. Okay, so it will be equal to I do not know what you are talking about. Okay, okay, so you'll understand the use of it in few minutes. Okay, and now what we need to do is that this speech actually this speech synthesis utterance has a property named text. Okay, so what we can do here is, for by default we can initialize it with the default text that we have made. Okay, so currently this speech.text will have the default text value. Okay, so there are a few more properties in this speech from API. Okay, this is speech synthesis utterance API. So the others are the if I remember correctly, it is rate and something pitch, I guess. So you need to read the documentation for thorough understanding. Okay, so currently we don't need to use it, use any of them here. Okay, so I'll just remove it here. And now what we need to do is that we need to add our if conditions. Okay, so if this message, this is the message that we that contains the actually the content that we spoke to the browser. Okay, so if this message, I'll say if this message, sorry. Okay, so if it includes, okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some keywords here. Okay, so for example, I'll just say how are you. So if this condition matches, so this if block will be executed. Okay, so we can have a final text here. Okay, so this final text will be one of this. Okay, so one of this message will be equal to the final text. So since we have how are you as some greeting we wanted to return. Okay, so we'll just say greetings, and we can access either 0 or 1 or 2. Okay, so what we need to do here is that we need to use the math.random function. Okay, so what it does is it returns a number between 0 and 1. As you can see, it returns a pseudo-random number between 0 and 1. But when you multiply it with some number, for example, if I multiply it with 3, so it will either return 0, okay, or it will return 1, or it will return 2, or it will return 3. But it returns a number between 0 and 1, so this number will always be, the maximum value that we can get is 2.9, I guess. Not 2.9 actually. Yeah, 2.9. Okay, yeah, because the possible values are 0, 1, 2 and 3. So it will return a value less than 0, 0 and 1. So the maximum value will be 0.9 into 3. So actually it will be 2.7, not 2.9. It will be 2.7. Okay, so you don't need to pay any attention to this, and if you're a programmer you already know it. Okay, so this will return, actually this, as you can see, they saw that this can also return a decimal value, but we do not have this 2.9 in the array. We either have 0 in the first and the second. Okay, so it will throw an error. So to resolve this error, what we can do here is that we can just grab it and we can use the math.floor function. Okay, so what it does is that if we get a response as 2.9, if this returns a response as 2.7, actually the maximum value, so it will just the float will it will just bring down the value to 2. Okay, so the problem is solved here. Okay, so now what we need to do here is that we need to access our text content here. Okay, so it will be equal to the message that we spoke to the browser. Okay, so I'll just concatenate the two strings. So since message has the transcript that we spoke to the browser, so it will be this. And now the second thing that we had is the content dot context field. Okay, so this is the field, okay, which will be equal to the final text, because this is the text that will be that we want the browser to read out to us. Okay, and now the second thing that we need to do here is actually not the second, the third one. Yeah, so we need to set the text. Okay, so as you can see, we set the default text here. So now we need to set it to the final text, because we want it to read it to be read out to us. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So now we need to add a second condition. Okay. So I'll just copy paste it. Else. Okay. So I'll just change the keywords here. I'll just say weather. Okay, so now we need to we need to change the number 3 with the length of the array, actually, because if we change the number of messages here, we'll need to change the number here again and again. So not to do that again, we just need to put the multiplied with the length of the array, so that we do not need to make changes in the code again. We just need to make changes to the constant on the top. Okay, so this is the array name here, weather.length, and I'll just use it here again. Okay, so there's nothing no change here other than this. Okay, so we'll add our default condition. In this default condition, we'll have this again. Okay, and the second thing that we are going to do is that we'll just set our content dot text content equal to final text. Okay, so it not final text, actually it will be equal to the default text. Okay, so what it will do is that if it matches this condition, okay, this condition, so it will just execute this block, else it will execute this block, else it will execute this block. Okay, so as we have speech.text already here, so if in this condition we do not initialize the speech.text again. Okay, so our code is finished. Okay, so I'll just test it out. Okay, so I'll just saved it. I use the prettier to format the code, and let's test it out. Okay, hello, how are you? Okay, it's working, but it did not speak out to us. I'm not on mute. Okay, we do not have any error. Let me look into the code. Must have done something wrong. Okay, looks fine. It was working till here. Actually, it is working. Okay, yeah, so one thing that I left is that we did not say that, okay, browser, you need to read it out to us. Okay, you need to read out this default text or something like this is speech. Actually, this is the thing that we want our browser to read out to us. Okay, so what we need to say is that window, this is a global object, and speech synthesis dot speak. Sorry. Okay, so speak. Okay, so this will speak out to us, and we need to pass the speech synthesis object that we created here. Okay, so that it will speak out to us. Okay, so now let's test it out. Hello, how are you?
I am good, you little piece of shit.
Okay, that's a rude reply, but can't do anything about it. Let's try it again. How's the weather today?
Why do you care? You never even leave the house.
Okay, that's pretty rude. Okay, let's test it for the third condition. What's the capital of India?
I do not know what you are talking about.
Okay, so guys, as you can see, it is working fine. So you can you can add actually many conditions, as many conditions as you want. Okay, so the one thing that the flow actually here it is like if you speak how are you weather, so it will just or you can say how is the weather. So let's test it out. I think it will just match it with this condition and just execute it. Okay, how is the weather?
It is hotter than your ex-girlfriend.
Okay, it is working fine. Okay, so but if you give it a mix of words like how are you weather, it won't work, I guess. Okay, okay, I think I did not save it, sorry. Let's do it again. How is the weather?
Google it, you dumbass.
Okay, so it is working fine, guys. So like let's test it out again. How are you weather?
Don't bother me, you asshole.
Okay, so as you can see, this is what I wanted to show you. So when you say how are you weather, so it will just match it with the first condition since it has the most matching keywords here. So it will just execute this condition, and if you're asking about the weather, it won't reply to you accordingly. Okay, so guys, here we have the final module that we wanted to create, and it is working fine. So if you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe, and share. Yeah, share and share it with your friends or people that you like. Okay, and tell me in the comments if you really like this video so that I'll make some new videos for you all and will keep me motivated. Okay, so yeah, just comment, like, share and subscribe. Okay, so that's it from my side. See you in the next video.